म्यूट कर लेना सब लोग. थैंक्स. चेतो-दर्पण-मार्जनम भव-maha-davagni-nirvapanam श्रेयः कैरवचन्द्रिका वितरणं विद्यावधुजीवनम् आनन्दाम्बुतिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वात्मास्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनं नाम्नामकारि बहुधा निज सर्वशक्ति तत्रार्पिता नियमितः स्मरणेन कालः एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन् ममापि दुर्दैवं ईदृशम् इह जानिनानुरागः तृणादपि सुनिचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानिना न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितां वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनि ईश्वरे भवतात् भक्तिरहित की त्वयि हे नंद तनुज किंकरम पतितं माम विस्मे भवाम्बुधौ कृपया तव पाद पंकज स्थित धूलि सदृशं विचिन्तये नयनं गलदश्रुधारया वदनं गदगदरुद्धया गिरा पुलकैर्निशितं वपु कदा तव नाम गृहणे भविष्यति युगायितं निमिषेण चक्षुषा प्रवशायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्द विरहेण मे आश्लिष्य वा पादरतां विनष्टमाम् अदर्शनान् मर्मतां करोतु वा यथा तथा विदधातु लम्पटो मत्प्राणनाथस्तु स एव नापरः मत्प्राणनाथस्तु स एव नापरः. We are going to read chapter 15 and 16 today from Adi-lila, Lord's Pauganda-lila, as well as his youth leelas. कुमनः सुमनस्त्वं हि यति यस्य पदाब्जयोः सुमनो अर्पणमात्रेण तं चैतन्य प्रभुं भजे. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya, because simply by offering a flower at his lotus feet, even the most ardent materialist becomes a devotee. जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद. All glories to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityanand Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, and all his devotees. Let me enumerate the activities of the Lord between the ages of 5 and 10. In this age, of course, 5 and 10, what do you do? You study. So he was only studying. This age between 5 and 10, 5 years of age and 10 years of age is called as Pauganda. And his education was his chief occupation. And after that, he became very beautiful. And then he had a beautiful marriage that took place. When the Lord was studying grammar at the place of Gangadas Pandit, he would immediately learn grammatical rules and definitions by heart, simply by hearing them once. So Sanskrit grammar is very extensive and a lot of memorization. So Lord was Lord. He was very intelligent from childhood itself. So Sanskrit grammar, whatever was being taught, he would just listen to it and then he would just learn it immediately. He soon became so expert that he commented on Panjitika that he would win victory over all other students, although he was a neophyte. So this is a commentary on grammar. It's called Panjitika. And this was being explained by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at a very early age because he could understand the rules of grammar. In his book Chaitanya Mangal, written by Vrindavan Thakur, he has elaborately explained this pastimes. One day, Mahaprabhu fell at the feet of his mother and requested her to give him one thing in charity. So this is another lila. He said, Mata bale tahi diba ya tumi magibe Prabhu kahe ekadishi ama anna na khaibe. He said, "Oh Ma, I have one request to you." Ma said, "What?" He said, I only request you, don't eat anna, don't eat grains on Ekadashi. Sachi kahe na khaiba, bhala hi kahila, sei haite Ekadashi, karite lagila. Mother Sachi said, oh, you have spoken very nicely. Oh, Nimai, I will not eat grains on Ekadashi. So this is one of the Leela. He asked Ma to follow the Ekadashi. Then another Leela. Tabe Mishra Vishwarupe dekhiya yauvan kanya chahi vivaha dite karilena manana. Thereafter, seeing that Vishwarupa was grown up, youth, Jagannath Mishra wanted to find a girl and arrange a marriage ceremony for him. Vishwarupa suni ghara chadi palaila sannyasa kariya tirtha kari bare gela. So in his house, Vishwarupa is his elder brother. So Vishwarupa was growing and he's just a kid, Mahaprabhu. But when he was growing, of course, everybody wants them to get married. So Jagannath Mishra said to Vishwarup, Vishwarup, I think you must get married. And Vishwarup said, sorry, father, I don't think so. I want to marry. I want to take sannyas. And he immediately left the place and he left for sannyasa and traveled from one place to another. When Sachi Mata and Jagannath Mishra heard that Vishwarupa has left the home, they were very sad, very unhappy. And Lord Chaitanya was just a kid and he saw mother and father crying because Vishwarupa had left the home. So he promised them, you know, and first of all, he tried to console them saying, Ma, Baba, don't worry. Vishwarupa has taken sannyasa. It is very good. He will deliver not only himself, he will deliver us also, his father's family and mother's family. So, but don't worry, I am there. And I am assuring you that I will serve you always. Hearing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's consoling words, Ma Baba felt better. एक दिन नैवेद्य तांबूला खाइया भूमिते पड़ेला प्रभु अचेतन हया अस्थे वस्थे पिता माता मुख्य दिला पानी सुष्ट हया कहे प्रभु अपूर्व कहानी. So after this incident was done, Vishwarupa had left. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu consoled the parents. One day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ate the betel nuts that was offered to the deity. And after eating the betel nuts, he became unconscious. His Ma Baba came and they sprinkled water over his face. And then the Lord came back to consciousness and said something wonderful that they had never heard before. He actually saw something while he was unconscious. What did he see? He saw that Vishwarupa had come here and he had requested Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to take the sannyas order. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told, I just saw Vishwarupa had come while I was unconscious. And he came and he said, you must take sannyas order. And then I told Vishwarupa, no Vishwarup, no brother. I have helpless father and mother here. And I am a child. I do not know anything about the sannyas order. Later I'll become a householder and I will serve my parents. Because this action will satisfy Lord Narayana and his wife and the goddess of fortune. And then Vishwarupa returned me home and requested offer thousands and thousands of obeisances unto my mother, Shachi Devi. So while he was unconscious, he saw this and he narrated this thing to his parents. And in this way, Mother Sachi felt better. In this way, he performed many other pastimes. And why he did so, only he knows. Nobody else can guess. After some days, his father also passed away from the world. And both mother and son were very aggrieved in their hearts. Friends and relatives came there to pacify Lord Chaitanya and his mother. Then Lord Chaitanya, even though he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he did all the rituals for his dead father as per the Vedic systems. Now time passed. Father is no more. Mother is there. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there. He's growing up now. He has seen all this. Vishwarupa leaving the home and then him promising mother that I will live a householder's life and I will not take sannyas, all this. So he remembered that. And Kate dina prabhu chitte karila chintana grihastha hailema ebe chahi graha dharma. After some days, the Lord thought, I did not take sannyasa. And since I am remaining at home, it is my duty now to act as a grihastha. And what is a grihastha without a wife? So I must marry. And he decided to marry. न गृहम गृहम मित्याहुर गृहिणी गृहमुच्यते तया ही सहिता सर्वान् पुरुषार्थम समश्नुते. A house is not a home until there is a lady of the home. So it is a wife who gives a home its meaning. If one lives at home with his wife, together they can fulfill the interests of human life. So he was thinking in such a manner that he should get married and become a householder because he has told his mother now. So one day, what happened? Deve ekadina prabhu padiya asite vallabhacharya re kanya dekhe ganga pathe purva siddha bhava duha rudaya karila deve vanamali ghatak sachistane aila. He was already looking Lakshmi Devi. Remember that story? They were meeting at Ganga in the pretext of doing puja, but actually they were liking each other. So one day when the Lord was coming back from school, he accidentally saw the daughter of Vallabhacharya on the way to the Ganges. And when the Lord and Lakshmi Devi met, their relationship again awakened and already been settled and they have already been settled. And coincidentally, the marriage maker Vanmali also came there to see Sachi Mata. So already these two people are liking each other. And there was a marriage maker who came to Sachi Mata and he said, what do you think about Lakshmi Devi and your son Chaitanya getting married? Sachi Mata heard the news and Sachi Mata is like, let me ask Chaitanya. And then Chaitanya also nodded and Lakshmi Devi also said yes. So the marriage was fixed. And following the indications of Sachi Devi, Vanmali Ghatak arranged the marriage, and thus in the due course, both were married. Vrindavan Das Thakur has elaborately explained these pastimes. What I have given is but a condensed presentation of such pastimes. The Lord performed many varieties of pastimes in his early age, and Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has already explained. Now we come to the end of this chapter. It is a very, very small chapter, just 34 shlokas. So that's why the chapter got over early, and I'm going to start the chapter 16 now. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi-lila, 15th chapter, describing the Lord's Gaudiya Now I'm getting into chapter 16, the pastimes of the Lord in his childhood and the youth. Kripa sudha saridyasya vishwam aplavanti api Nicha gaiva sada bhati tam Chaitanya Prabhu vaje. I worship Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whose nectarian mercy flows like a great river, inundating the entire universe, just as a river flows downstream. Lord Chaitanya especially extends himself to the fallen. Jyoti Kishora Chaitanya Murtimatya Grihasramat Lakshmi Archito Atha Vagdevya Disham Jayi Jayi Chalat. Long live Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his Kaishora age. So after 11 years of age, both the goddess of fortune Lakshmi Devi and Saraswati, who is the goddess of learning, worship him. The goddess of learning, Saraswati, worshipped him in his victory over the scholar who had conquered all the world, and the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, worshipped him at home. Since he is therefore the husband of the Lord of both goddesses, I offer obeisances unto him. Now the Kaishora-lila, after 11 years of age, that Kaishora-lila starts. Eita Kaishora-lila Sutra Anubandha Shishyagana Padahite Karila Arambha. At the age of 11, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to teach students. This marks the beginnings of his Kaishora age. So he was that intelligent from 5 to 10 years when he was adolescent. Just child, he learned everything. Now he's got it into Kaishora Avastha, his youthful years now, 11 to 16. the teen years basically. As soon as the Lord became a teacher, many students came to him, and every one of them astonished to hear his mode of explanation. The Lord defeated all kinds of scholars in discourses about the scriptures. He was very gentle in his behavior. And that's why even though people got defeated, he is just 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 years of age. And he's so intelligent that he is defeating scholars. But he was not proud of himself. He was very gentle in his mannerisms. And that's why even though they were defeated, they were still not unhappy. The Lord, as a teacher, performed various kind of pranks in his sporting pastimes in the water of Ganges. After some days, the Lord went to East Bengal, and wherever he went, he introduced the Sankirtan movement. Struck by his power, struck with the wonder of the influence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's intellectual prowess, many hundreds of students came to the Lord and began studying under his directions. सेई देशे विप्र नाम मिश्रा तपन निश्चय करी ते नारे साध्य साधन बहुशास्त्रे बहुवाक्ये चित्ते भ्रम हय साध्य साधन श्रेष्ठ न हय निश्चय. So he was in East Bengal. He's doing the Sankirtan, spreading the Sankirtan movement, and he's teaching so many students. So of course, he was so intelligent that everybody started talking about him. And his fame spread everywhere. And there was a great scholar called Tapan Mishra who heard about him. Tapan Mishra had read many books. But after reading all the books, he was still confused as to what is the goal of life. What is the purpose? All the books are giving different things. And it happens. So many books, so many arguments, so many logic. What to accept? Mahajano yen gata sapantha. Whatever the Mahajans have given, the path that they are walking, that is the path. So here is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has come to set the path. And his fame has gotten everywhere. And Tapan Mishra heard about it. Bahu Shastre Bahu Vakye Chite Brahmahaya Sadhya Sadhana Shrestha Nahaya Nischaya. If one becomes a bookworm, reading many books and scriptures and hearing many commentaries and the instructions of many men, this will produce doubt within his heart. One cannot in this way ascertain the real goal of life. In Srimad Bhagavatam it is said, Granthan nevi bhasyed bahunna vyakhyan upayunjita. One should not read too many books, nor one should try to make a profession of reciting many books, especially if one is a devotee. Because when we read too many books, we get confused. So now we are listening to the example of Tapan Mishra. He was a learned scholar, but he could not ascertain what is the goal of life. Therefore, he was given a chance to hear Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in instructing Sanatana Goswami, and Lord Chaitanya's instructions to Tapan Mishra is especially significant to persons who loiter here and there, collecting books and reading none of them, thus becoming bewildered regarding the aim of life. And it happens. I know many scholars who have so many books, and they'll give such scholarly things. But what is the purpose? Why to read so many books? I was going once to Vrindavan, and I had a relative, and that person is very learned Sanskrit professor in a very big university, and that person is called everywhere to give lectures on Sanskrit. And of course, when you're a professor, you know so many books. I was going to Vrindavan, and she's like, "Oh, Smita, what are you going to do in Vrindavan?" I was like, "I just go and meet the saints." She's like, "But you are good in your knowledge. You must read this book, that book, this book." she gave me the names of so many books. And I'm like, I know there are hundreds of books. But what is the purpose of all these books? When I sit with the saints, The saints give me the essence of all the books. 1 hour sitting with a saint, I just know what I should know. They give you the nectar. They give you the essence. So many shastras, so many books are like an ocean. Ocean only gives you salty water. It will not satisfy your thirst. But the sun, it absorbs the water from the ocean and then he gives it back as the rainwater. And the rainwater is very nutritious, okay? Water is very nutritious, huh? I'm just telling you. If you can collect the rainwater and drink directly, it is written. Rainwater quenches your thirst. So the saints are like sun who absorb the nectar from this ocean of books. And you sit with them for 1 hour, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever time you get. You get the sweet nectar water to drink. And done. They give you the purpose of life, the goal of life. So that is what now we are going to see what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did to so many people who came near him. Tapan Mishra, Chandrasekhar, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Prakashanand Saraswati, we already heard. And the story will come again. He did that. People are scholars, but they still do not know what is the goal of life. I met someone long time ago, now people know. So when I was in the path, I used to keep less company. I would not want to meet people because I don't like to get into debates or arguments or anything. But the closer relatives, they know she's all the time into this. And if I opened my mouth, I would never talk anything worldly much. I'm much open now. But there was a time I didn't like to talk. And if I opened my mouth, it'll be only for the topics of God. And I knew that when I talk, everybody gets attracted to the topics. So they are listening. So one of my relatives, he was like, so what are you doing these days? And that relative was, he used to read a lot of books. I'm like, nothing. What are you reading these days? I said, all reading is done. After Gita, everything is done. There's nothing left to read anymore. All I do is chant Bhagwan's name. Gita gave me the purpose of life. Nothing else I want to know. I'm done. I'm satisfied. Now is the time to practice. How long are you going to read? And this person is like elderly to me, 30 years, maybe elderly. So I just said, how long do you want to read? Someday you will practice, right? So I'm busy practicing whatever I have learned. He's like, what are you practicing? I said, whatever is given in the Gita. Then he's like, which Gita you read? I said, Srila Prabhupada's. Then he started arguing. Oh, that Gita, oh, they are only talking about Dvaita, Murti Puja, this, that. I read about so and so teacher. I'm like, good for you. If you found, by reading all the interpretations, if you found the goal of your life, good for you. For me, this Gita is more than enough. I got the goal of my life, that I have to live this life remembering Krishna. Done. You can keep reading as many interpretations of Gita. There are millions of them. But what is the essence? I don't want to become a scholar. I don't want to show my intellectual prowess to anybody. So you can read, do whatever. And then he went on in an argument of Dvaita, this and that. And then they eventually came back to whatever I was saying, agreeing and nodding their head. And there was a big silence. For another 45 minutes, I was speaking and he was listening. The essence of all scriptures comes from the Guru's mouth or when you are in the company of the saints. And that is what is more important. So Tapan Mishra was a bewildered Brahmana. One day, he saw a dream, and in that dream, one Brahmana told him to go to Nimai Pandit or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. तेनो तुम्हारा साध्य साधन करिबे निश्चय साक्षात ईश्वर तेनो nahi ka samshaya. That Brahman in the dream said, O Tapan Mishra, because Nimai Pandit is Lord himself, undoubtedly he will give you the proper direction. And after seeing the dream, Tapan Mishra came to Lord Chaitanya's holy feet, and then he described all the details of the dream to the Lord. The Lord was satisfied and instructed him and about the object of life and the process for attaining it. He instructed him that the basic principle of success is to chant the holy name of Lord, the Krishna Mahamantra. Tapan Mishra was so happy in his company that he did not want to leave Navadvipa and go to Bengal again. But Lord instructed him to go to Varanasi. He said, you should go to Varanasi, stay there, and I will come to Varanasi. And when you guys know, when Tapan Mishra went to Varanasi, and Lord also went to Varanasi, he was staying at Tapan Mishra's house, and that is where all the things happened, and Prakashanand was converted into Prabodhanand. The Lord assured Tapan Mishra that they would meet again in Varanasi. Receiving this order, Tapan Mishra went there. I cannot understand the inconceivable pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, for although Tapan Mishra wanted to live with him in Navadvip, the Lord advised him to go to Varanasi. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu contributed the greatest benefit to the people of East Bengal by initiating them into Harinam, the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, and making them learned scholars by educating them. Because the Lord was engaged in various ways in preaching work in East Bengal, his wife Lakshmi Devi was very unhappy at home in separation of her husband. The snake of separation bit Lakshmi Devi and its poison caused her death. Thus she passed to the next world. She went back home, back to Godhead. So he used to stay far away, and it affected his wife badly, and she passed away. Lord Chaitanya knew about the disappearance of Lakshmi Devi because he is the super soul himself. Thus he returned home to solace his mother, Sachi Devi. Sachi Devi was heartbroken because when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going, Lakshmi Devi was her companion. And Sachi Devi was very sad that Lakshmi passed at such an early age. When the Lord returned home, bringing him with him wealth and many followers, he spoke to Sachi Devi about transcendental knowledge to relieve her of the grief she was suffering. And he spoke about the Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, Dehino asmin yatha, dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara, tatha dehantara praptir, dhiras tatra namuyati. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul also similarly passes into another body at death. One should not be bewildered by such change. Such verses in the Bhagavad Gita or the Vedic literature give valuable instructions on the occasion of someone's passing away. By discussing such instructions from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, a sober man can certainly understand that the soul never dies, but rather passes from one body to another. This is called as the transmigration of the soul. A soul comes into this material world and creates a bodily relationship with a father, a mother, sisters, brothers, a wife, and children. But all of these relationships pertain only to the body, not the soul. Therefore, as described in Bhagavad Gita, Dhiras Tatra Namuyati. The Dhir people, patient people, they do not get perturbed by such phenomenal changes. Such instructions are called Tattvakatha or real truth. Very important. One must know the Gita. It's for first chapter itself, but second chapter, the science of soul. If you know it, it will solve so many complications of life. First chapter, I mean the second chapter itself, just to know everybody is a soul. Everybody has come. We make relationship with them. Some relationships give you love. Some relationships turn so sour. But all these relationships are only with this body. Once the body is dead, where is the mother? Where is the father? Where is the son? Shankaracharya says, in one of his Bhaj Govindam, he says, when somebody dies, the same wife, he says, oh brother, think. The same wife whom you are so much craving and she's also taking care of you and both of you are so attached to each other. Just think of the moment that you die and you're lying there. Same body that wife hugged how many times? And you gave her pleasure so many times. But after death, same body is lying there. And the wife will say, please take this body as soon as possible. If the body is there, in fact, somebody will get even more scary. Oh, maybe his ghost is around. Please take the body away from here. What happened in an instant? That body, mother's body, father's body, whom you loved so much, what happens after death? You can't take the body everywhere. These are all bodily relationships. Monkeys, if their child dies, they are very attached to their children. Sometimes the monkey mom will take the dead child and be with it, keep jumping here and there, till the body becomes a skeleton and falls by itself. Now that is attachment. And this we have to think. It is, we know we are in body, so we miss a person, his presence. But the body is of course going to go. It's never going to be permanent. All these relations are never going to be permanent. All these souls came in different relationships. They all gave us love. They all gave us support. Even if they went against us, they taught us something. We are always forever thankful to every soul that came in our life. But the only strongest relationship, the forever relationship that you call, is with Bhagwan. The only true soulmate, the only true relationship is with Bhagwan. We should never forget that. Everybody met in this life and then they are on their own journey. Maybe they'll meet in some other life, in some other relationship. You won't even recognize. And the drama will start again. Do we want to continue this drama of relationships? Because every relationship, because if you continue this saga of relationships, you are going to suffer pain and suffering and happiness and everything, all the dualities of life. But if you want to end it up, then you have to see the real picture. Go back. Go back to the real relationship. And that is Bhagwan. Your forever planet is Bhagwan's planet. Think of him and go there. After coming back from East Bengal, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again began educating others. By the strength of his education, he conquered everyone and he was very great and thus greatly proud. Then Lord Chaitanya, after that, mother kept forcing him. So he again married Vishnu Priya. And after that, he was becoming very popular. And then one day, a great learned scholar from Nimbark Sampradaya. His name was Keshav Kashmiri. He came from Kashmir and he was very celebrated scholar. He had defeated many scholars. And because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's fame was going everywhere, Keshav Kashmiri came to meet him so as to defeat him. Vrindavan Thakur has elaborately described this pastimes. One night, the Lord was sitting on the bank of Ganges, surrounded by his disciples, and they were discussing literary topics. At that time, coincidentally, Keshav Pandit came there, and while offering his prayers to Mother Ganges, he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord received him with adoration. But because Keshav Kashmiri was very proud, he talked to the Lord in a very proud tone, inconsiderately. He said, Vyakarana padaha nimai tomara nimai pandit tomara nama balya shastre loke tomar kahe gunagrama. I understand, Keshav Kashmiri says, I understand you are a teacher of grammar. And I have heard your name is Nimai Pandit. People speak highly about your teaching of beginner's grammar. So he's saying, beginner's grammar. That means he is very scholarly and you're just reading a beginner's grammar. I understand that you're teaching Kalapa Vyakaran. I have heard that your students are very expert in the word jugglery of this grammar. So this Kalapa grammar is, there are Kalap and Kaumudi grammars. These come in Sanskrit languages and these were given by Panini. So he says, okay, you know Kalapa grammar. And your students talk too much about it. I've heard about you. He's showing his pride. And Prabhu is Prabhu. He will be humble. Prabhu kahe vyakrana padai abhiman kari shishyete na bujhe ami bujayate nari. Lord said, yes, I am known as a teacher of grammar, but factually I cannot impress my students with my grammatical knowledge, nor they can understand me very well. He just takes a backseat always. My dear Sir Tapan Mishra, you are very learned scholar in all sorts of scriptures and you are very much experienced in composing poetry. I am just a boy. He's young, right? I am just a boy. I'm a new student. Yes, you're right. I just know beginner's grammar. But if you are kind enough, sir, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I would want to hear your skill in composing poetry. We could hear this if you would mercifully describe the glory of Mother Ganges. Now Brahmana Keshwar Kashmir is like, he became puffed up and within 1 hour, he composed 100 verses describing the Ganges. The Lord praised him. Sir, wow, there is no other greater poet than you in entire world, sir. In 1 hour, you compose 100 verses of Ganges, praising the Ganges. Wow. And then Lord is giving a little satirical, satire. Your poetry is so difficult that no one can understand it, but you and Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning. So he's praising also, but there's a satire hidden in it, what poetry you have written. Only you and Mother Saraswati can understand. Wow. And now I understood why people talk so highly about you. But I have a request, sir. I'm a beginner. So your poetry is so high, only you and Mother Saraswati can understand. So please just explain me one shloka. एक श्लोक अर्थ यदि कर निज मुखे सुनी सब लोक तबे पाई बड़े सुखे. I have one request, sir. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, if you explain me meaning of one verse, then me and my students, all of us can hear from your mouth. Oh, revered sir, please accept our request and make us happy. Now this Keshav Kashmiri. तवे दिग विजय व्याख्यार श्लोक पूछिला शत श्लोकर एक श्लोक प्रभु तो पढ़िला. And this Digvijayi Digvijay means who has won over all the scholars. Keshav Kashmiri inquired, which verse? Chaitanya, tell me, which verse you want me to explain to you? And the Lord recited one verse. Out of the 100 verses, just imagine, in 1 hour, Chaitanya, Keshav Kashmiri has written 100 verses. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the verses and he memorized the verses while he was hearing. And out of the 100 verses, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just took one verse. Mahatvam Gangaya Satatam Idam Abhati Nitaram Yad Esha Shri Vishnu Sa Charana Kamlotpati Subhaga Dvitiya Shri Lakshmi Riva Suranaraira Archya Charana Bhavani Bharturya Shirasi Vibhavati Adbhuta Guna. So he took this slok and he said, the slok actually means what Keshav Pandit has written. The greatness of Mother Ganges always brilliantly exists. She is the most fortunate because she emanated from the lotus feet of Sri Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. She is the second goddess of fortune, and therefore she is always worshipped both by demigods and by humanity. Endowed with all wonderful qualities, she flourishes on the head of Lord Shiva. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him to explain the meaning of this verse, the champion was very much astonished and he inquired from him as follows. Keshav said, oh my God, I just recited the verses like a blowing wind. How could you completely learn by heart even one among those verses? The Lord said, by the grace of Lord, someone may become a great poet. And similarly, by his grace, someone can become great Shrutidhara who can memorize anything immediately. So yes, you asked me, it is by God's grace I was able to memorize. Keshav Kashmiri was very satisfied by this statement. And then the Lord said, please explain me the qualities and faults in this verse. Keshav Kashmiri said, faults in this verse? You do not know Chaitanya. This verse is perfect. There is no faults. There are only qualities and qualities and qualities in these verses. And he started explaining all the qualities. The Lord said, sir, my dear sir, can I tell you something? If you will not become angry. I have seen some faults in these verses. If you don't become angry, can I point out them? Of course, there is no doubt that your poetry is full of ingenuity, and certainly it has satisfied the Supreme Lord. Yet, if we scrutinize this poetry and consider it, we can find both good and bad qualities. The Lord concluded, now therefore, let us scrutinize the poetry. The poet replied, yes, the verse you have recited is perfectly correct. But you are an ordinary student of grammar. What do you know about literary embellishments? You cannot review this poetry because you do not know anything about it. So the Keshav Kashmiri is again getting angry. He's like, you're just an ordinary grammar student. You won't understand how I have ornamented the poetry. That's why you're not understanding and you're saying there's faults. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took a humble position and he said, yes, because I'm not at your level, I'm asking you to teach me by explaining the faults and good qualities in your poetry. Certainly, I have not studied the art of literary embellishment, but I have heard from higher circles, and thus I can review this verse and find many faults and good qualities. The poet said, all right, let me see what good qualities and faults you have found. The Lord replied, let me speak and please hear without becoming angry. And the Lord said, my dear sir, I have found 5 faults and 5 literary ornaments, and I shall state them one after the other. Kindly hear me and then give your judgment. So the way he has actually, if I read the English translation, it's going to confuse you all. You have to get a background of Sanskrit. So Bhagwan actually took the Sanskrit verse and with the grammar, where all he had made mistakes in the grammar and putting the embellishments wrongly, Bhagavan pointed it out. He said, this is an embellishment, but grammatically it goes wrong. So in this way, all the English explanation goes on, and he scrutinized the entire verse. And in the end, he said, whatever you have done, you were trying to glorify Mother Ganges, and but in that glorification, you have tried to put an embellishment, but it has actually put down the glories of Ganges. And whatever you have written is just your anuman, just whatever you thought is right, but this is not right. I have simply discussed the 5 gross faults and 5 literary embellishments of these verses. But if we consider it in fine detail, I've just taken one verse, sir. But if I go on analyzing your entire 100 verses, there will be more faults. Sir, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you have great poetic imagination and ingenuity by the grace of your worshipable goddess Saraswati. But poetry not well reviewed is certainly subject to criticism. So you have your imagination, the way you are trying to praise Ganges, everything is good. I know you are blessed by Goddess Saraswati, but there are many other faults in here. Poetic skill used with due consideration is very pure, and with metaphors and analogies, it is dazzling. After hearing the explanation of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the champion poet was struck with wonder, and his cleverness stunned. He could not say anything. So Keshav Kashmiri heard all the arguments and everything, and he could not refute the arguments, and he understood, oh, I'm not talking to an ordinary person. So Keshav Kashmiri accepted it. He wanted to reply, but even though he's accepting in his heart, but sometimes you're so scholarly and you've gotten so much respect from everybody that if somebody is criticizing you, it is very difficult to take it with a pinch of salt. Difficult to gulp it. So he wanted to get into the argument again, but he could not say anything. But no reply would come from his mouth. He then began to consider this puzzle within his mind. Keshav Kashmiri wants to talk, but dumbstruck, can't say. Keshav Kashmiri is thinking, this boy has blocked my intelligence. Now I feel that Mother Saraswati is angry at me. The wonderful explanation the boy has given could not have been possible for any human being. Therefore, Mother Saraswati must have spoken personally through his mouth. Thinking this, the Pandita said, my dear Nimai Pandit, please hear me. Hearing your explanation, I am simply stuck with wonder. I am surprised. I thought you are just a student of grammar and you do not know anything about literature. You do not have any experience of the Shastras. But how have you been able to explain all these critical points? Hearing this and understanding the Pandit's heart, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then, he made the atmosphere light. And in a humorous way, he said, Shastrera vichara bhala mandanahi jani Saraswati e balaya se bali vani. He said, sir, you're right, sir. I don't know anything about good composition. And I really don't know about the Shastras. I don't know what is good and bad. But whatever I spoke, I can only give the credit to Mother Saraswati. She would have spoken it through my mouth. When Keshav Kashmiri, he heard this judgment from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Pandit sorrowfully wondered why Mother Saraswati wanted to defeat him through a small boy. I shall offer my prayers and meditation to Ma Saraswati. The champion concluded and asked her why she insulted me greatly through this boy. Saraswati had in fact induced the champion to compose his words in an impure way. Furthermore, when it was discussed, she discovered his intelligence, and thus the Lord's intelligence was triumphant. When the poetic champion was thus defeated, all the Lord's disciples sitting there began to laugh loudly. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked them not to do so. And he addressed the poet as follows. तुम्ही बडा पंडित महाकवी शिरोमणी यांना मुख बाहिराया ऐचे काव्य कहाणी तुम्हारा कवित्व येन गंगा जलधारा तुम्हा सम कवी कोठा नहीं देखा आरा. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then consoled him again and he said, you are the most learned scholar and the topmost of all great poets. For otherwise, how could such poetry come from your mouth? Your poetic skill is like the constant flow of the waters of the Ganges. I find no one who can compete with you in your poetry. Even the poetic compositions of such great poets as Bhavabhuti, Jayadev, and Kalidas, there are many examples of faults, and such mistakes are negligible. One should see only how such poets have displayed their poetic power. I am not even fit to be a disciple, O sir. Therefore, please do not take anything seriously, whatever I said to you. It must be my childish impudence that I have shown. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that person. Immediately, humility and not putting him down. And everybody was laughing. He just told his people, just don't laugh. And nicely talking to Keshav Pandit. आजीवासा यहाँ कली मिली बे आबार सुनीबा तुम्हारा मुखे शास्त्रा vichara. He said, please go back and tomorrow we'll meet again here at the Ganges. And really, I know you are a great, you know so much about the Shastras and the literatures. I would want to learn something from you more. So we will discuss this further again tomorrow. In this way, both the poet and the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went back to their homes. And at the night, Keshav Kashmiri was restless. He prayed to Ma Saraswati and slept. And while he was sleeping, in the dream of Keshav Kashmiri, Ma Saraswati appeared. And she told him about the position of the Lord and said that he, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, O Keshav, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. And that's why you were defeated through him. The next morning, the poet came to Lord Chaitanya and surrendered unto his lotus feet. The Lord bestowed his mercy upon him and cut off all his bondage to the material attachment. भाग्यवंता दिग विजयी सफल जीवन विद्या भले पहिला महाप्रभुर चरण. The poetic champion was certainly most fortunate. His life was successful by dint of his vast learning and erudite scholarship, and thus he attained the shelter of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Vrindavan Thakur has elaborately described it. The nectarian drops of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes can satisfy the senses of everyone who hears them. So now we come to the end of this chapter also. Sri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Yara Asha Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishnadas. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi-lila, 16th chapter, describing the pastimes of the Lord in his childhood and youth. Tomorrow, we will begin with chapter 17, which is the last chapter of Adi-lila. It's a very long chapter, so probably it will take me 2-3 days to spend to finish. But yeah, we are almost coming to the end of Adi-lila. So with this, we end up. I'll just read your comments. Jai Shri Krishna, if you are fasting a week from grains and beans in Ekadashi, comes in that week. So how to break the Ekadashi fast? Next day to continue the... If we are fasting for a week from grains and beans and Ekadashi comes, so how to break the Ekadashi fast? The next day to continue the week fast. You know, King Amrishi gave us the trick. So next day was Dwadashi and he had to break the fast. And Durvasa Rishi had come. He could not eat grains. So what he did, he just had water with tulsi jal and he broke the fast. So that's how you broke it. So if you are continuing a long week fast and if Ekadashi is coming, next day you can have same water and tulsi, and you broke the fast, and then you continue your week-long fasting. Sai Lakshmi, dear Guru Mama, I have experienced it myself where people in specific religious organization read their Guru's books only, and they were very strict about it to listen to their Guru's instructions. This may lead to focus, but then I would not know about Harihar Tattva if I did not choose to listen to many spiritual classes on YouTube, and I would not have found you. So what is your guidance on this, Ma? Yes, in the beginning, the Shishya should go. If the Shishya is not getting full answers from one Guru, those who are reading those books, probably they are satisfied and they're getting the answers from there. But not every student gets satisfied from one path. So at that time, it is advised in our Guru Gita and even in Bhagavatam, Dattatreya has given the example, 24 gurus he had, right? So you must become like a Brahmar, a honeybee, and you must go to different places and take the sar, take the essence of all these teachings and apply it in your life. The purpose of all these teachings, what is the purpose? Think of the purpose. The purpose is to connect with Bhagwan. If those teachings, it could be just one guru in your life and you are like, okay, done. Now I got the purpose. Just one Bhagavad Gita, if you have understood, now I understood the purpose. But sometimes you are reading the Bhagavad Gita, but there are so many arguments. And you go to the teachers and they'll be like, no, 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 don't argue, just believe. But it doesn't satisfy you. So you have to go and find a teacher who will give you the logical arguments, answers, so that your heart is satisfied. Once your heart is satisfied, your search will be over. Then you will not go anywhere else. So in the beginning, yes, be like this. Be like the honeybee. Collect the honey from everywhere. And then when your mind is settled, just follow that. Final goal of life is to remember Bhagavan and live this life. Can we wash hair on Ekadashi if you are fasting on Ekadashi? Yes, no problem with that. All right. Namaste. I love your answer about Guru, about honeybee. All right. So we end up the class here now, and then we will meet tomorrow. Jai Shri Krishna. Radhe Radhe. Nina Joshi, Ma, there is one problem, Ma. What problem, Nina? Nina, you had some problem you were asking? You can write or maybe I'll unmute. We are in Madurai, okay? You can talk, you can unmute and talk. Okay, we can't unmute. Who is hosting the show? Poonam, or who is the host today? Let me just see the host. Okay, someone is, I'm not hosting it. So maybe you can just write it down to me. Write it down. I'll just wait for it. Okay, you are in. Okay. Okay. So I don't understand your problem. Okay. Luggage, you'll get it. Don't worry. Don't worry. This has happened many a times. Many a times. Okay. Okay, Jayanti is asking, Guru Ma, please tell us about Ekadashi. Devotees are asking so many questions and I fear I do not know the significance. Fasting is recommended in our scriptures always. There are so many stories regarding Ekadashi. So all Ekadashi will have a story. Okay. Fasting is recommended once a month. All right. So in Vaishnav Sampradaya, Ekadashi is given. For me, I have always explained Ekadashi means that one day where all your 11 senses, I'm giving you the real meaning which I follow, all your 11 senses, you will use it for Bhagwan. So fasting was started with this concept originally. Okay. That those days, in the olden days, people would not even go to work. They'll be at home because they're doing their Ekadashi. And you'll be at home and you'll be fully fasting means refraining from grains and beans, things that will make you sleepy. Okay. So you will, in fact, not even make all these fasting foods like we make it. Just be on water. That was the best fasting thing. Just be on water if somebody can be. If not on water, then definitely you must eat some fruits. Fruit should not be eaten alone. You can eat fruits with some dry fruits. Okay, always. Some, if you eat one apple, then with some almonds, something like that. If you eat anything, banana, some peanut butter with that, something like that. So this is allowed. So dry fruits are allowed. Fruits is allowed. You can eat that in your fasting. The purpose is not to be hungry. The purpose is to increase your chant on the Ekadashi days. Not going in the kitchen and thinking, "Oh, today I will chant 64 rounds of Maha Mantra or any mantra, but today I will chant for 8 hours. Every day else I'm not able to chant. But today is Ekadashi, I will chant for 8 hours. You take this sankalpa in your head. So of course, when you're sitting for 8 hours, you don't have the time to get up and go and cook food. So everybody will be like, okay, the entire family should follow this and be on water. So that was the whole purpose of fasting: be on water, eat little fruits, not start in the kitchen. So all our 11 senses has to be in Bhagwan. That's about it. From morning till the next day, I will only think of Bhagwan. All the processes that has been mentioned, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, these three I'm going to do. Archanam. This is the whole day I have to follow this routine. So get up in the morning with this thought that my routine will be thinking of Vishnu the whole day. How am I going to do that? Chanting as many times as possible, increasing my satsanga, doing some swadhyaya, doing Vishnu Sahasranam, no watching TV, no seeing phone, everything, practicing Maunam, no talking worldly talks, and giving a rest to everything. The food also has to be pure, no, nothing else. So this was the way Ekadashi has to be done. Then there are many stories associated with that, but that's okay. Maybe that is another way. But main thing is employing your 11 senses in doing bhakti yoga on this day. That is the goal. That is, I always say, steadfast, not fasting. Being steadfast in your devotion. Dridvrat, not vrat. That is Ekadashi. Okay, got it? All right. So we are without clothes. Minakshi Ma is another proof of Lalita Ma because they are saying she's Parvati Ma. I got Lalita Ma ki picture here. Neena Joshi, दुकान जाओ, go to shop, buy some clothes. Your stuff will come. Why are you so worried? Go buy some clothes in India. It's time to buy new clothes. It's good. Things are getting delayed. Time to buy some new clothes. Why do you want to wear your old clothes? So go to the shop, buy some new saris. You're in Madurai. Oh, great place to buy some really good silk saris. Buy some saris, buy some nice kurtis. Enjoy. And some good food. You don't have to cook, nothing. So don't worry. Your stuff will come. Sometimes it happens. It has happened to many, to us also. So don't worry about all that. It will come after 2-3 days, and spend some money and enjoy with some new clothes. Some newness is going to come in your life. All right. Okay. No. The stories have been given in Skanda Purana and other Puranas, Vishnu Puranas and all. That's all. Nothing. Ekadashi is just the same Ekadashi. The purpose of Ekadashi is through the stories, take your mind to Bhagwan. The stories are given to us so that something interesting has to happen, right? We are used to so much stories in life. So those stories are given to us to uh, help us connect with Bhagwan, to develop that faith in Ekadashi. That's why. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Enjoy, everybody. Radhe Radhe. Jai Shri Krishna. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Ma.
Thank you, Ma.
Yeah. Who is this now?